Well, we've got special coverage here. So earlier today, I uploaded my predictions for how I thought the debate would turn out tonight. Going to be getting back to that in a moment. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the entire debate in live time, so I'm catching up a little bit, watching the clips, going through YouTube right now. But there's a couple that I want to go ahead and start attacking into right now. The very first one, CNN has uploaded not too long ago. Bernie says there should be no more billionaires. That's what they're saying. And yes, Bernie did make that statement, but without further ado, let's jump over to their clip. I'm going to be stopping and playing real time, so live reaction. We won't have to cut back and forth. I'm going to splice it where it's up in the upper window, and we're going to be watching in real time.
Income inequality is growing in the United States at an alarming rate. The top 1% now own more of this nation's wealth than the bottom 90% combined. Senator Sanders, when you introduced your wealth tax, which would tax the assets of the wealthiest Americans, you said, quoting you, Senator, billionaires should not exist. Is the goal of your plan to tax billionaires out of existence?
When you have 500,000 Americans sleeping out on the street today, when you have 87 million people uninsured or underinsured, when you got hundreds of thousands of kids who cannot afford to go to college and millions struggling with the oppressive burden of student debt, and then you also have 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society, that is a moral and economic outrage. And the truth is, we cannot afford to continue this level of income and wealth inequality, and we cannot afford a billionaire class whose greed and corruption has been at war with the working families of this country for 45 years. So if you're asking me, do I think we should demand that the wealthy start paying, the wealthiest, top 1/10%, start paying their fair share of taxes, so we can create a nation and a government that works for all of us? Yes, that's exactly what I believe.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Steyer, you are the lone billionaire on this stage. What's your plan for closing the income gap?
Well, first of all, let me say this.
So, before we move forward there, spot on. Spot on. I'm not going to go as far as say there should never be any billionaires out there. I'm not going to go that far out into the left field, but without a doubt. Crony capitalism, corporatism certainly has taken its toll on this country, and it's, some people say, well, we shouldn't do wealth redistribution, blah, blah, blah. Look, it's not even about that. It's the fact that there's so many people who are using their wealth and power to keep the poor poor and even poorer so they can keep taking more for themselves. This is literally the kind of system you start to find in countries like North Korea, where the people who have all the power and influence are the people in charge. And they just keep taking more and more from the people underneath them. If we're supposed to be a free society, it's not supposed to be a society where the rich and powerful use their power, money, and influence to buy the politicians to rig it all for themselves. That's just not how it should be working. That's not how it's supposed to work. And so Bernie's spot on. They need to start paying their fair share and, quit taking every loophole possible to get out of paying taxes, and then use their money as a lobbying tool to get the federal government to do the bidding of the rich and powerful and not the people as a whole. Okay, so agree 100% with what Bernie laid out in that response.
Senator Sanders is right. There have been 40 years where corporations have bought this government, and those 40 years have meant a 40-year attack on the rights of working people and specifically on organized labor. And the results are as shameful as Senator Sanders says. both in terms of assets and in terms of income. It's absolutely wrong. It's absolutely undemocratic and unfair. I was one of the first people on this stage to propose a wealth tax. I would undo every Republican tax cut for rich people and major corporations. But there's something else going on here that is absolutely shameful, and that's the way the money gets split up in terms of earnings. As a result of taking away the rights of working people in organized labor, people haven't had a raise. 90% of Americans have not had a raise for 40 years. If you took the minimum wage from 1980 and just adjusted it for inflation, you get $11. It's $7.25. If you included the productivity gains of American workers, it'd be over $20. There's something wrong here, and that is that the corporations have bought our government. Our government has failed. That's why I'm running for president, because we're not going to get any of the policies that everybody on this stage wants. Health care, education, Green New Deal, or a living wage, unless we break the power of these corporations.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. Vice President Biden, you have warned against demonizing rich people.
So, again, great response. Agree with what he said. Do I believe this guy? No. No. You heard them say the lone billionaire on the stage. Now, I have nothing against the fact that he is a billionaire. What I do know about Tom Steyer is he is for this while secretly doing this. Now, I know that sounds like a very blanket statement, but we've covered Tom Steyer on the channel. Tom Steyer, Mr. Environmentalist, has money and business dealings with fossil fuel companies. So, can you really trust this guy? I'm inclined to say no. Honestly, maybe he does have some good intentions. But here's the truth of the matter, okay? A big criticism from a lot of the people who didn't believe President Trump's more populist message was the fact that they didn't really think he was being genuine enough, okay? They thought he was saying all this, but because he's a billionaire, he's going to get in there and go into business for himself, and in some ways he has. They actually did mention this during the debate, something we will get to later on when they talk about the impeachment, and that is the emoluments issue. Something that anyone who really investigated his issue with emoluments would know his issue isn't with Russia, it's with Saudi Arabia. But that's another story for another video. My big concern with Mr. Steyer is that he could just be doing the same thing, giving a populist message, get into office, and then it's a complete because he is part of that class that's just buying the federal government out to do their bidding, not the bidding of the people. So I think he's just literally trying to be the Pied Piper here and get everyone to fall in line, like what he's saying. He gets into office and then gives you a nice, big, swift kick in your ass. Okay? That's just my opinion of Tom Steyer. But as far as what he said goes, I agree. I do agree.
You believe that Senator Sanders and Senator Warren's wealth tax plans do that?
No, look, demonizing wealth people, what I talked about is how you get things done. And the way to get things done is take a look at the tax code right now. The idea, we have to start rewarding work, not just wealth. I would eliminate the capital gains tax. I would raise the capital gains tax to the highest rate of 39.5%. I would double it. Because guess what? Why in God's name should someone who's clipping coupons in the stock market in fact, pay a lower tax rate than someone who, in fact, is, like I said, a school teacher and a firefighter? It's ridiculous, and they pay a lower tax. Secondly, the idea that we, in fact, engage in this notion that there's $1,640 billion in tax loopholes.
Did you catch that stumble all over himself gaffe? Hey, I predicted at least 3. At least 3. Maybe you don't consider that a gaffe. I do. Joe has a big old fat foot for a tongue, basically. You know, people said it had big feet, always trip all over themselves. Joe's got a great big foot for a tongue. It just talks all over itself and goes round and round in circles. He's going to eliminate the tax and he's going to raise it to the highest percent. Oh, my God. Ooh. Oh, and by the way, he wants to talk about how we get things done. Of course, Joe Biden's way of getting things done is we'll give away the farm. Screw it. We got a bulletproof Senate. We got the House majority. You want a public option? We're going to... No, because we want Republican votes, we're going to go with Richard Nixon's old policy and something that a Republican governor put in place, Mitt Romney, and we'll get some Republican support. But the hell with our base, hell with our policies, the hell with what we said we wanted. This is what we're going to get because we've got bipartisanship and we get stuff done. Yeah, that's how you get stuff done, isn't it, Joe?
You can't justify a minimum $600 billion of that. We could eliminate it all. I could go into detail had I the time. Secondly, thirdly, what we need to do is we need to go out.
We're just through one video here, folks. Two gaffes. Can't even keep count. I'm already one gaffe away from being correct. Now, whether or not he tanks, we'll see. But two gaffes. I called three or more.
To make it clear to the American people that we are going to raise taxes on the wealthy. We're going to reduce tax burdens on those who are not. And this is one of the reasons why these debates are kind of crazy, because everybody tries to squeeze everything into every answer that is given. The fact is, everybody's right about the fact that the fourth industrial revolution is costing jobs. It is. The fact is also corporate greed. If they're going back and not investing in their employees, they're reinvesting and buying back their stock.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
See,
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Senator.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Oh, man, you gotta love Joe. What is it, Joe? Are you a saint? They always try to cut people off mid-answer. As you're going to see as this video continues, not everyone stops, Joe. What is this, the third debate he's just cut himself off mid-sentence because the moderator interrupted him? Now, I suppose some might look at that and say, oh, he's got good form. He's got good tact. He doesn't want to go on beyond his time. He has respect for the rules of the debate. Sure, if that's your weird looking down the nose uppity way you want to look at it, great. Me personally, everyone else finishes their point. I would finish mine. The problem with Joe Biden is he's talking in such circles he doesn't know what point he's even trying to make. So he's very glad when a moderator cuts him off because he can quit making a complete jackass of himself. He's happy to hear the moderators interrupt him. Two gaffes at least. And I was on the fence about him even making a third one there towards the end. Everyone's trying to fit everything in. Everyone's the next thing. I was on the fence that was a gaffe, but I'll give him a pass on that one. We got more clips to go through. I'm very confident he's going to hit 3 before the time we're done with these clips. So, moving on.
Warren, your response.
So I think this is about our values as a country. Show me your budget, show me your tax plans, and we'll know what your values are. And right now in America, the top 0.1% have so much wealth. Understand this, that if we put a 2-cent tax on their 50 millionth and first dollar, and on every dollar after that, we would have enough money to provide universal child care for every baby in this country aged 0 to 5, universal pre-K for every child, raise the wages of every child care worker and preschool teacher in America, provide for universal tuition-free college, put $50 billion into historically black colleges and universities.
Thank you, Senator Warren.
No, let me finish, please. And cancel student loan debt for 95% of the people who have it. My question is not why do Bernie and I support a wealth tax? It's does everyone else on this stage think it is more important to protect billionaires than it is to invest in an entire generation of Americans?
Thank you, Senator Warren.
Oh, man. As I've said, I don't like Elizabeth Warren that much, but just as I made a prediction on the day, she's coming out guns a-blazing, son. You can't argue what she just said unless, of course, you're one of those people who have lots of money and don't want to pay those taxes. 2 cents after your 50 millionth and $1. Oh, you're losing a lot, aren't you? Now, you could check statistics. I haven't checked her statistics to know for a fact that her math adds up the way she claims it does. But whether it does or whether it doesn't, I think she's hitting home the bigger point. They can pay the taxes, and it would definitely help fund these things. Especially for things like Medicare for all, so on and so forth. And what did she do? Notice the key thing. Joe Biden, oh, thank you, Vice President. Oh, okay, I'm done. I'll shut up. See, I'm doing it too. They try to cut her off. No, excuse me, I'm going to finish my point. And then when she goes home to make a point that is definitely going to get a lot of support, that a lot of people are going to hear and agree with, and then they see her basically tell the media, the propaganda media, yeah, you're good. I'm going to finish what I'm going to say, and then you can go on to your next question. See, these are the kind of things that got Trump so popular. He basically told the press, the establishment, the media, whatever. He basically told them, yeah, you can go shove it, son. Stick it straight up your candy. Okay? He was adamant, man. He was adamant. Okay? He didn't take no crap. He was the outlaw on the stage. These sort of tactics right now, they are resonating with the American people. Big time. You might look at it and say, that's not presidential, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. It's getting over with the people. They see a fighter right there. Again, agree with Warren or not, her tactics, spot on. Spot on. So, just as I said earlier, if no one clips Elizabeth Warren in the knees, takes her out, Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders, I'm predicting she's going to win. I haven't even got through all the clips. Just this first one, right out of the starting gate, out to a strong start already.
Mayor
Supporting
Buttigieg.
Billionaire.
Mayor Buttigieg, your response.
I'm all for a wealth tax. I'm all for just about everything.
Oh, and did anyone just catch, no one's defending billionaires from old crazy Uncle Joe just there? No, Joe, you're not defending billionaires because it's not like you take plenty of their money for your political campaigns, right? No, you wouldn't be defending them at all. You also wouldn't be defending people making a lot of money, millions to billions and, maybe some shady ways. No, you wouldn't defend them. Oh, but your son has made lots of money through some of those shady business transactions. So much so that even one of his business deals were so shady, John Kerry's son said, yep, see ya, a little too corrupt and shady for me. No, Joe, you wouldn't defend him at all. You'd just go over and tell the foreign leader of the country those people are doing business in that if you don't fire a prosecutor, we're not going to back your loans and give you guarantees and so on. No. But you don't support them. No.
Everything that was just mentioned in these answers. Let me tell you, though, how this looks from the industrial Midwest where I live. Washington politicians, congressmen and senators saying all the right things, offering the most elegant policy prescriptions, and nothing changes. I didn't even realize it was unusual to have empty factories that I would see out the windows of my dad's Chevy.
Yes, you're exactly right. People talk a big game, nothing changes. You know who else made that point in the 2016 election cycle? Donald J. Trump. His way of putting it was the politicians, they're all talk and no action. And it resonated. Now, Mr. Mayor Pete, you just said you would support it, but then you switched immediately to, well, let me tell you how it looks over where I'm from in the Midwest. See, it looks like a bunch of people out here, all talk, no action. Okie dokie. So, are you for it or are you against it? Because if you were for it, why didn't you elaborate on really why you were for it instead of switching to the caveat of, well, let me tell you how it looks back in my hometown. And now you're about to deflect into, you didn't even realize that factories were closed. We're going to let you hear that. You didn't realize how factories were closed outside of your hometown. Why are you not elaborating on what she just brought up with this wealth tax? Hey, bait and switch, Pete, bait and switch. You fit politics perfectly. Maybe that's why the DNC likes you so much.
Cavalier when he drove me to school. I didn't know that wasn't every city until I went away to college. Now I drive my own Chevy. It's a Chevy Cruze. Used to be built right in Lordstown, which is now one more symbol of the broken promises that this president.
First of all, I'm sorry you drive a Chevrolet. Your taste in vehicles matches your taste in policy prescriptions. And that is, it sucks. Now, I know there's probably a lot of people out there who are going to hate what I'm saying about Chevrolet, but let's just be honest, people. Once upon a time, Chevrolet General Motors was top of the line. They realized they were spending more money to make the cars better, so they decided they were going to try to cut costs. It resulted in the stuff being cheaper made, poorer made, and the quality of their vehicles has absolutely gone into the toilet. Not to mention the American government had to bail them out, save them from going under. They bail them out. The government lost money on the stocks that they bought when they sold them. They actually lost money, of course. That didn't do well at all. And, of course, now we get about 10 years down the road, and what does GM do? Start closing up plants. Why? Because their cars aren't selling. Why are their cars not selling? Because they're trash. Toyota, Honda, and look, I got a grandpa who insists that, I was a freaking idiot because I have a Toyota Camry and that I'm supporting foreigners and their ways that don't have freedom and blah, 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 blah. A very old school way of thinking. There's no truth to it whatsoever. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of Toyotas that are made right here in the United States. And then you look at what GM's doing with their workers. The strikes. It's so ridiculous. I mean, it's so ridiculous. So, Pete, I'm sorry you got a Chevrolet. But it fits. It fits you well.
Has made to workers. But why did workers take a chance on this president in the first place? It's because it felt like nobody was willing to actually do anything. And while he's unquestionably made it dramatically worse, this is time to realize that we're paying attention to the wrong things. We're paying attention to who sounded better on a debate stage or in a committee hearing versus what it's actually going to take to get something.
Will a wealth tax work?
It could work. I am open to it, but I want to give a...
Very good point. Very good point, Mayor Pete. Yes, you politicians were paying attention to the wrong things for a very long time. And it did lead to why a lot of people gravitated toward President Trump in 2016. But, Mayor Pete, what they don't gravitate towards is someone who's going to play ball for the status quo. And a lot of your policies, when you do your homework, they gravitate towards the status quo. For example, you also like the DNC's superdelegate system. That serves one choice and one purpose and one purpose only, and that is take choice away from the people, give it to the party insiders. The people have their say, but if the party wants something else, that's what you're going to get. Hillary Clinton. Okay? So, Pete, I get you. See, the thing about Pete is he's saying a lot of things that are resonating. You just have to do your homework on jokers like him, Tom Steyer, and company. Then you really see the truth about them. It really starts to come out, okay?
reality check here to Elizabeth, because no one on this stage wants to protect billionaires. Not even the billionaire wants to protect billionaires. We just have different approaches. Your idea is
Bro,
not...
time. Oh, God, son. Shovel them with both hands, are you there, Amy? No one wants to protect billionaires. We just want to take their money. So do you think the billionaire is going to give you his money or her money or whoever it may be to fund your political campaign so you can go out there and actually work against their corrupt, bribed interests for the little man, the working class guy? And I'm sure you've never taken a billionaire's money there, have you, Amy? You've never once in your life taken a billionaire's money for any of this. No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Except, of course, we can do this lovely thing called research, and we see that you have taken a total from Delta Airlines of $57,819. Individual donations through Delta Airlines, $47,819, and through political action committees or PACs, right at $10,000. That's directly associated with Delta Airlines, Dorsey and Whitney. I'm not exactly familiar with what they are, but you've taken a total of $57,035 from them. Cargill Inc., $49,435. General Mills, $49,410. University of Minnesota, $47,273. Those are your top contributors from 2015 to 2020. You want to check it? Go to opensecrets.org. You can keep track of where their finances are coming from. We can go back even farther than that and look at all the stuff she's taking money from. But nonetheless, even if they weren't exactly all billionaires, they certainly were wealthy enough to donate large sums of money to you. And, of course, Delta Airlines, pretty sure they've got billions of dollars laying around. Pretty sure they got billions of dollars laying around.
The only idea. And when I look at this, I think about Donald Trump, the guy that after that tax bill passed, went to Mar-a-Lago, got together with his cronies, and said, guess what? You guys all got a lot richer. That was the one time in his presidency he told the truth. So we have different ways. I would repeal significant portions of that tax bill that help the rich, including what he did with the corporate tax rate, including what he did on international taxation. You add it all up, you got a lot of money that, one, helps pay for that child care, protects that dignity of work, make sure we have decent retirement, and make sure that our kids can go to good schools. It is not one idea that rules here.
Senator Warren, please respond.
So understand, taxing income is not going to get you where you need to be the way taxing wealth does. That the rich are not like you and me. The really, really billionaires are making their money off their accumulated wealth, and it just keeps growing. We need a wealth tax in order to make investments in the next generation. Look, I understand that this is hard, but I think as Democrats, we are going to succeed when we dream big and fight hard, not when we dream small and quit before we get started.
Oh, I would like to respond to that.
Excuse me. Another great shot from Elizabeth Warren. What did I say? If no one clips her out, takes her out in the knees tonight, tackles her going down the field, man, she's about to run touchdowns all night long on this debate. Don't be surprised if Elizabeth Warren's poll numbers are not just ticking on up there. Man, she's taking this ball, at least from this clip so far, she's running with it. And no one's catching her. And it's jokes like Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, Joe Biden. Man, they are falling victims to Elizabeth Warren tonight. It's not looking good for them.
Senator Klobuchar, respond, please.
I think simply because you have different ideas doesn't mean you're fighting for regular people. I wouldn't even be up on this stage if it wasn't for unions and the dignity of work. If my grandpa didn't have unions protecting him in those mines, he wouldn't have survived. If my mom didn't have unions as a teacher, she wouldn't have been able to make the wages she made when my parents got divorced. So just because we have different ideas and get to the same place in terms of beating Donald Trump and taking this on, we are in Ohio. We can win Ohio in the presidency, but only if we unite around ideals and don't go fighting against each other and instead take the fight to him.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes, Amy, you might have a path to victory, but let's be clear, that path to victory is not to maintain the status quo. The status quo is why Donald Trump became so popular, because the status quo did nothing but screw the working class people around, and it had been doing it for years, and it didn't matter if it was Democrat or Republican. The people's situations weren't getting better. Some might have made them a little bit worse than others, but either way, the people did not recover. The middle class was dying out, continuing to die out in a lot of ways. Yes, there's more people back in the workforce. Yes, unemployment is down, but that's because it's getting to the point where the entitlements are being cut back, and they're having to go to work, but they're also having to pick up more than one job in a lot of cases just to make ends meet. It's not as healthy as we were at one point in history where you could work 40 hours, had a decent job, and have a decent life and provide for your family. It is not that way anymore. We are not living in the era we had in the 50s and the 60s, and you look at how the middle class was vibrant back in those days. It has gone down. And your prescription to fix this whole mess is to maintain the same BS that has been giving us this mess for how long? Okay. So, just there, apparently CNN did not find it necessary to get any questions over to Tulsi about this. But just from that alone, Elizabeth Warren, she's already got a touchdown. Joe Biden, he's already made a couple of fumbles and got a flag thrown on the field. Bernie, he's just kind of there. And, of course, you've got Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar scrambling around like wild people trying to catch Liz. But she ran clean past them. Touchdown Elizabeth Warren. Think she's on her way to possibly carrying this debate, but we'll see what happens in the next few clips. I'm going to be doing some more of these throughout the night. And as CNN uploads them, if I don't get to all tonight, we'll be getting to some first thing in the morning. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Independent Report. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up and like the video. Also, if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to ask or topics you'd like us to cover, please drop a comment in the comment box below. And also, please subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe, ring that bell so you'll stay up to date when we drop new videos and you'll get notifications of it. And also, please support us on Patreon. Funds are going to be used to grow and improve this channel so we can reach more and more people and spread the message that the mainstream media doesn't want to tell people. We hope you'll tune in next time.